Shut up, Wesley.
Weird how some guys can treat a woman that way and somehow just not be bothered by it. Takes a special kind of garbage person, if you ask me.
Yeah, not like that, but yeah.
Right.
The tingles. I feel as if I have been standing my entire life and I just sat down. Oh, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a new fun thing.
Tractor beam activated. It's pulling us in. Oh no! Everybody does it sometimes. I went to town on myself this morning. That's why I look so relaxed right now.
God, this whole ship is gross.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. Yeah, you look like the guy who's on the list because you know the DJ.
Now entering Glory Hole.
Hey gang, I'm JP and I'm 6 feet away from you guys right now. Just kidding, let's get a little bit closer. We're talking through the internet, by goodness, let's not get crazy. Tonight, we are talking about the penultimate season 1 episode of Star Trek Picard. Yes, I looked it up, I now know what penultimate means. And we're gonna be talking about it in Arcadia. Egotastic FunTime. Tonight, Picard went nuts. We got the Borg Cube. We got Elnor saying some stuff every once in a while. We learned the truth. We met Data's brother. I told you in this episode we were going to meet Data's brother. And we did meet Data's brother. Kind of. Just not the brother I thought it was going to be. Or is it? We're going to talk about it. We're going to ask questions. I got questions. You got questions. Maybe I have the answers to your questions and you have the answer to my questions. This season has been a phenomenal ride. And having been able to actually dissect the episodes and go deeper into it and research it, I realize this show is smarter than I am. And we'll talk about that as well. Hey, Jug, what's going on, Jug? Thank you very much. Let's get the background music going. Better for me. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I sure can. And let's get that sound drop to Jug.
My God, who makes these things? Okay, this is a hostile work environment.
Jug makes these things. What's going on? Key phrase said by Sung. My father had me, then he had Data. Sounds suspicious. Sung is lore. Pretty sure of it. I'm not sure of it, but damn it if that wouldn't be an amazing twist. He said, yeah, because lore, I assume, oh God, what's his name? Alton Inigo Sung. AI, by the way, is his initials. AI. Very interesting, very telling. That was actually Brent Spiner's idea to have his initials be AI. Sung does sound suspicious. I would actually love that theory to come true. I do find it weird, though, that Alton has created himself a golem, not Lord of the Rings golem, a golem, a body. He's the body guy. He knows how to make bodies. He doesn't know really how to do mind transfers, which apparently is a thing. He's going to want to figure out how to do that. Is he trying to save himself? Is he Lore, and Bruce Maddox made Lore a human, a bionic body? And now that Maddox is gone, he needs another one, but he doesn't know how to do the mind transfer. Is Alton Lore the entire time? Because of course Lore would want to be able to pass off as human so he can hide. It would be an amazing twist, a twist that I would love to come true. Don't know for sure if it will, but that's a better theory than others that are out there right now. So fingers crossed that we have seen Lore, because I said we would, and of course we would. I also found out that Sutra, her name is an homage to Data and Lore. I couldn't figure out what quite that homage is. I know Kama Sutra, not personally, I never studied the arts of the Kama Sutra, but her name is an homage to Data and Lore, not just one or the other. James Owen, thank you very much. That's a sound drop.
Hey, there you go. See, that's what I'm talking about.
And Stephen Klein. I haven't even got to say hello to you guys yet, but we'll get there.
I am awaiting my dinner. This has caused me to become displeased.
Apparently, that's another big question. I have no problems with it because we don't know how the technology works, but apparently synthetics can mind meld. Yeah, she's a bionic synthetic. I'm sure it's because of the bionic side of things that allows her to do that. If she was just a synthetic, no. Surprising. It's not something I would have predicted was they were going to be able to do. It's a glaring thing where everyone noticed that, I'm sure. But hey, it's technology that we don't understand. I would have said synthetics 20 years ago couldn't do that, but these new perfect synthetics, apparently they can. That's part of the good bionic, biological part of their body. But absolutely, let's see who's here right now, you guys. We got, wrong button. I'm learning the technicalities. Aaron Hall, channel member Aaron Hall, channel member Brian Dawkins, Brian McMahon, Cobra Commander, channel member Curtis Tate, Daniel White, David Slock, channel member and winner of the Patreon, because Dr. Scott Giles is also a Patreon. Dr. Scott Giles was the Patreon winner this month of these two cards, autographed Orville cards that are currently in my possession, but they're going to be on way to you very soon, Scott. And don't forget, for you YouTube channel members, we got a new giveaway that I'm going to start here in a day or two. All you got to do is just keep an eye on the secret channel member only chat on the community page, and you guys, one of you guys is going to win not only this Orville badge that you can stick on, but this awesome Galaxy Quest badge. Got that cosplay going, get you a jumpsuit, iron this bad boy onto it, and you are a Galaxy Quester, you guys. That's coming up here One of you will win that 2 weeks from tonight, but keep an eye open to enter to win that giveaway. Official channel member Geolaw, Herb Bluntman, Jay Patero, Jake Johnson Band, James Owen, Joel Diaz, Jonathan Perez, Jug, good old Jug. Channel member Kalon Primary, Matt Graham, Philip Marvell, Raj Luthra, Ruby Sultra, SC. Boy, the names are just popping in here. I'm sorry if I missed you. Species 1571. Good to see you, Species. Been a while. Stanlow Crickets 888. Stephen Klein. Stream Elements is here. Welcome aboard, Stream Elements. And Timmer Tim. And then, of course, all the names that I missed along the way that were jumping in while we were chatting. Jug is now an official Ego Trooper. Jug will now have his name highlighted in the chat and have access to, occasional discounts on merch, as well as giveaways, secret giveaways, and the secret community chat that only paying channel members are able to see. Tom Casey, thank you very much.
There was no equipment malfunction.
Well, you don't have to brag about it.
Hey, Tom Casey. Well, I know Tom Casey. I see your name all over the interwebs, Tom. Follower, first time super chat. Well, thank you very much. You popped your super chat. Strawberry. I'm not going to say the other fruit. It sounds dirty. Strawberries are nice, clean, wholesome fruits. Timmer Tim made it. Glad you are here. Data. I made it out of clay. Data. Who wants to go to space and play? Absolutely. Lots of stuff came out in this episode. Okay, we have Soji, right? Soji, and now we have her predecessor, her earlier, one of the first synths that Bruce Maddox and Dr. Soong, possibly Lore Soong, made, along with her sister Jana and Beautiful Flower. Beautiful Flower and Jana were, of course, killed on the Ibn Majid 9 years ago when Rios and Captain Vandermeer came across them, and Commodore O said, "Hey, kill those fools." And Vandermeer's like, "Oh God, pew pew," and he pewed them, and they were deaded, you guys. They were some of the first synths, and now the synths create their own synths that are even more advanced than they are. And from what I've learned, those earlier synths, Soji, Daj, Beautiful Flower, and Sutra used to have different names, but they renamed themselves. But otherwise, all the other synths were created by synths, and they renamed themselves as well. Soji lost her sister. Sutra lost her sister. Those two know a pain that all the other synths don't know, at least until this episode when, oh God, I can't remember her name, but her sister Arcadia, is now a synth who knows what it's like to lose their sibling as well. That's something that binds them all. I think this admonition that the Romulan, that's from 200,000 years ago, that the Romulans found, I don't know, however many years ago the Romulans found it, that apparently is not for them. Little Westworld reference. That message is not for biologicals, it's for synthetics. Apparently, I don't believe either. I believe it's a trick on both ends. I believe it was a trick on biologicals and a trick on synths, so that whatever put that message there can come back and wreak havoc. I don't necessarily think it's synths that are like the message said, the synths are out of time and space, which means time travel, which means they're in the future, they're beyond everything. The Q continuum is beyond time and space as well. So this is some sort of trick. Maybe it's a huge last-ditch effort from the Q continuum to put biologicals on trial, because why just humanity? What about all biologicals? Put biologicals on trial to see what happens, if maybe to see if they make this weird message a self-fulfilling prophecy. The destruction of the biologicals comes from their own doing, because this thing, it's like in the Matrix when Neo walks into the Oracle's apartment and knocks over the plan or whatever it was. She says, do you think you would have knocked it over if I didn't mention it? That sort of situation. Boom. It's crazy, you guys. Yes, Dan Crane, I have enough TP. I hope all of you have enough TP tonight, because if you guys are going to be drinking hand sanitizer, you're going to need a lot of toilet paper. Oh, Orville news real quick, Kalon Primary. The biggest news so far with the Orville. But this is the same news across the board on all productions because of this COVIDia 20-1. I don't want to say the words on a video because they're like, oh, don't say those words on YouTube videos. YouTube says, I don't know why. Because of this virus, all productions everywhere are pretty much shut down right now. So Orville season 3 production, even though they've got a lot done and they're still working on it, all the effects people are working from home right now to put the episodes together and put all those effects on. So the season's still being made, but as far as filming goes, because hundreds of people work on the show and they're all there together on the same day shooting these things, the production is on hold right now. Of course, you guys know this because this is the way the world is right now. We don't know how long everything in the world is going to be on hold, but hopefully the government will send us all checks so we can forget about it for a little bit. Axnar Comics says Geloja and greetings programs and Egotastic FunTime. The Voldemort bug. Yeah, the bug that shall not be named. Geolaw says it's actually on Crave, a Canadian app, not Amazon. Sorry. Yes, I believe Picard is on Crave in Canada. Crave TV. I wonder if the impending writer's strike is canceled. Yes, because the life strike. All society is on strike right now. Yes, Sutra has lore written all over. Well, I don't know if she is lore, but I think she's definitely a pawn. I think they're all pawns. We had a great nod to the transwarp conduit. The La Serena, Picard and La Serena actually traveled through a transwarp conduit, which was pretty cool. We got the tricorder, the old school tricorder reference, which was pretty cool. Lots of pretty neat references here. Brian Dawkins, what?
I am sorry you are upset. Perhaps you are on your period.
Yes, Brian Dawkins, perhaps you are. Here is some money to buy Miss Kitty some cat toilet paper. I don't even think you can find cat toilet paper right now, you guys. All toilet paper and paper towels. People finally figured out you can wipe your butt with paper towels. Those are now gone as well. Pretty soon it'll be I think the baby wipes are gone. Luckily, I got plenty of toilet paper. And then I have paper towels as well. I would hate to think you're using old coffee grounds in their litter box because they are hoarding kitty litter. Oh, I haven't looked for kitty litter since all this went down. I hope not, because I just used the last of my kitty litter today. So I was going to go to the store like tomorrow and get some more. I hope they haven't figured out, I hope they haven't bought up all the cat litter. You monsters! I think this is the beginning of synths and organics evolving together to become Q. Ooh. Now, we don't know much about the Q. I previously theorized, Ruby, that perhaps the thing 200,000 years ago had to do with the Q continuum. Maybe that was the end of their society, and then, but of course they live outside of time and space. So just because their society ended doesn't mean there's not all around all over the place, because we know there's Qs out there, right? I hope, while that's a fun theory, I hope it's not true, and I hope it's not true because of this. I would like the Q continuum's origin to remain a mystery. The Q as a mystery are just so much better. And that's pretty much the case with most mysteries. Once you figure out what's going on, it's not as magical anymore, right? Once you figure out how a magician is doing his trick, you're like, you're not impressed by it anymore. So I'm hoping the Q stay a mystery. I think they will. I hope they will. JP, which member of the Orville would do well if they had to be in isolation for 2 weeks? Probably Seth MacFarlane. He just seems like a dude that would like to remain secluded, right? Except for from the ladies. Daniel White, thank you so much.
As I am incapable of stuttering, I must conclude that you heard me.
How about Spot 2 and Picard possibly becoming an android? Here's my 2 thoughts. I don't think Picard is going to be an android. I think that golem that we saw, that body being made by Soong, Alton Soong, is for Alton. Alton wants to become a synth. or unless he already is a synth, unless he's already Lore's consciousness, because he did make that switch really quickly when it came at the very end, when Picard was like, please everyone calm down, I'm going to talk to the Federation, everything's going to be groovy. All of a sudden Alton went from being all nice and sweet to like, oh no, they're not going to listen to you. He turned really quickly. So I know that body is for him. That's in his laboratory. Is he Lore in a body that's dying, and he's, because it's, you know, one of the first ones they made or something like that, and then he's trying to make a super duper awesome body so that he can transfer his consciousness into it. We'll have to wait and see. Definitely Sutra is a pawn. I don't think she's a Lore, but she's definitely going to be used to become the destroyer of worlds, so to speak, whatever that means. We don't even really know what that means. And, you know, she's not the destroyer of worlds. She's going to be there to help the destroyer of worlds. And hopefully by the end of this big story, we'll learn a lesson. Because that's all we really want from characters in Star Trek, is for them to learn a lesson. And, you know, as they learn lessons, we learn lessons as well. Ooh. Geolaw. The Iconians were on the go 200,000 years ago. Now, of course, we predicted the Iconians had something to do with season 2 of Discovery. Turns out they didn't, though it very much seemed like they were going to when we were doing all of our predictions. Turned out it had nothing to do with the Iconians, so maybe they're bringing the Iconians here. From all the research I've done, the writers of the show know Star Trek lore, get it? Very well. We had some references to the Gorn. We also had references to, what the hell was it? There was murderous reptilians, which was a reference to the Gorn. And then we had the deceptive fungi, which is a reference to an old TOS episode. I can't remember what it's called. I think I brought it up here. Oh, I don't have it. Anyway, that's a reference to an old episode of the original series, when some fungi were doing something during a food epidemic on some planet, Taurus 4 or something like that. You can also, of course, refer to that as the mycelial network. Not really, though. The mycelial network isn't necessarily mischievous fungi type thing, even though it is mushroom related, fungus related. The entire Picard series is based on flat, beautiful flowers growing and the fragility of the flowers. Discovery was based on mushrooms that grow in poop. That's the difference between the two shows, you guys. But yes, Spot 2 was amazing. It was great. That was Spot. But Spot 2. Apparently, the synths on this planet think of Data, probably Lore as well, as being like legendary ancestors. A lot of them actually renamed themselves names that had to do some way with the legacy of Data. I haven't done the research yet as to the meaning. You know, you got Codex, you got Saga, you got Epic, you got Arcadia. Anyway, they're mostly references to Data in some way, somehow. I know that to be true. I just don't know the exact how they connect, but I know that they're supposed to connect to Data. Basically, Data is their, you know, rock star. You know how people said, "Oh, I'm a distant relative of Jesse James." You know how everybody in the world that you've ever met is a distant relative to Jesse James or Abraham Lincoln, something like that. That's how these people feel about Data. Gorn, when they talked about murderous reptiloids in the episode, that was a direct reference to the Gorn, because Michael Chabon and Akiva Goldsman are huge Gornophiles. They wanted to put the Gorn in this some way, somehow. They're trying to figure out. There's been a few references to the Gorn so far. Yes, Sutra definitely has emotions. Now we know emotions is no problem. The original Dr. Soong, the original Dr. Soong that was a cyberneticist that we know of that created Data, because he comes from a long line of cyberneticists and geneticists. What the heck was I just talking about? Of course, Lore had emotions. Lore was the OG android, had emotions, weirded people out, so he created Data, which is pretty much the same as Lore, just without emotions. I'm also guessing he upgraded Data's ability to please the ladies, something that Lore didn't have. That's why Lore is so pissed off all the time. But you got to blame Dr. Soong on that one. Blame Noonien on that one. Aaron Hall says, I'm thinking Sutra is based on Lore and not Data. She definitely seems that way now. We thought she was Data, but by the end of the episode, she's a lot more like Lore, isn't she? She specifically told Romulan guy, forget his name, Narek, that she was concerned her desire to kill him, specifically, would be stronger than her desire to use him. Yes. Now, does her hatred for Narek, it's more general? Does she hate all Romulans, or does she hate all biologicals except for Alton? Sorry, it's gonna take me a while to get these names just in my brain, because every time I want to say Alton, I want to say Data or Lore or even Noonien, but of course it's not. It's the son of Noonien, but Data's the son of Noonien. The Lore theory is a very good theory. I very much like it. I don't have enough information yet to lean, yes, that's what I think it is. But dang, I'm looking for a little more information, because that's what I want it to be. I want Alton, who's a surprise. Nobody knows Alton. Picard doesn't know Alton. Lore could just say, yeah, I'm Alton. I'm Noonien Soon's son. Yes, he could just say that. He wouldn't be lying. He is if he was Lore, he is Noonien Soon's son, just like Data is his son, right? So I would love it to be that. Hopefully it does. Jug,
We must return to the dance! The night is ours!
what? Making another call. Starfleet shows up and faces O after Soji makes her plea for synthetics, having Starfleet help the synths. Yes, because he made that call to Starfleet, but of course, everything on Capellia, I want to say it is, Capellius? Is it Capellius? Everything on Capellius is made to not be in contact with anybody, especially the Federation, because then they'd be able to be found. So I don't know if Picard's plea made it to the Federation, but hopefully it does, and they're there because we know O is on the way. In the new Warbirds, the new Warbird looks really cool. I do miss when we got that classic Bird of Prey a couple episodes ago. It would have been nice to see the TNG era Warbird. That's my favorite Star Trek alien ship. But you can see a little bit of a resemblance with the new Warbird that Commodore O has. But it would have been nice to see a classic one. But of course, 20 years later, of course they would have new awesome ones, right? Yes, I think Starfleet's going to have to help the synths, but also, what if they don't show up? The Federation doesn't show up, and then Picard and them, I don't know, they survive somehow. I'm still thinking that they're going to be arrested. I'm still thinking the crew, Picard and the crew of the La Serenia, are going to be arrested by the Federation, because the Federation doesn't have all the facts. They don't believe what Picard is saying because he's listening to a renegade captain, a runaway cyberneticist whose entire career was ruined by the synth ban, and a conspiracy theorist, drug addict, deadbeat mother that Raffi is. That's who he's consorting with, and that's how the Federation is going to see it. He's making claims against Commodore O, one of their bests, as far as they think. So I don't know if they're going to side with Picard right away. It's going to take more proof. They're going to have to catch. They're going to have to catch Commodore O red-handed or green-handed. If she's gotten all bloody, you guys. Also with Narissa, we didn't see Narissa this episode. I'm not sure if we're going to see Narissa next episode. Possibly we do. I'm thinking the next time we see Narissa, because here's the thing: the only person who has seen Narissa is Elnor. She was all ghostified on that cube. Picard never met her. None of the crew have met her. The only person that's met her is Elnor. And when we first saw Narissa, she was in human disguise. As she's in the Federation. She's part of the Federation, working for Commodore O. She's embedded in the Federation. So, Narissa might be on her way back to the Federation to put herself back in place to start pulling the strings while Commodore O is off doing her thing with all of her leathers and whatnot, you guys. So I think the next time we see Narissa will be her is implanted in the Federation, no one the wiser except for Elnor, but we don't know if Elnor is going to be there to see her anyway. What? JP, do you think we will be able to process data quicker? Oh, who do you think will be able to process data quicker? Isaac or Data? We as viewers don't know enough. We don't know enough about either as far as what their stats are. What are Data and Isaac's stats? Somebody needs to put up a chart. I would like to think that Data is going to be faster, only because Data has proven himself. He's been all like boop, 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 doing crazy fast stuff. We've seen him over the years do crazy fast stuff. All we've seen with Isaac is his little finger tendrils come out and interface. So I don't know. I don't know. Altered Sung. Ooh, that's nice, Kalon. I am Altered Sung. Also, I think the synths should be a bit more freaked out by a Borg cube. Yeah, I don't know what they even know about the Borg cube. Also, I would have assumed, I mean, maybe she had to act fast, but I would have thought, and maybe she did, that Seven would have beamed back as many of the surviving Borg that were in space as she could, because Borg can survive in space for a little bit. Maybe she did do that. We just haven't had time to get to that part of the story yet. And also, that's not even part of this story. That's her story. That's a whole other show at this point, depending on how much more of the adventures Seven has with us. Ooh, that'd be a good show. Seven on her Borg cube going around just kicking assimilation and taking names. I suppose it's possible the entire community is based off Lore. Yes, Lore just wanted to be loved. He wanted to be human as well. Well, he always thought of himself as better, I believe. And I'm sure he would think the synthetics are better if they're taught to be part of that ideology. The synthetics would also think that they're better than everyone else. They pretty much are. So they have everything that humans have, I guess, and more. Star Trek Picard isn't a horrible show. To me, it's entertaining while you watch it, and that's it. Back in the day, I used to find myself thinking or pondering for days or even weeks after viewing an episode. That's what's going on with me for Picard. I think about it a lot, like all the inner workings. When I do the research, I go back and find out all the really historic stuff that they're literature, stories, history that they're pulling from. Et in Arcadia ego means I am in Arcadia as well, and it pulls from an early 1600s drawing that's called Et in Arcadia ego. It's meant to be. There's actually two drawings, one from the early 1600s, one from early mid, not quite mid, but early mid. One of them is in Rome, and then the other one is at the Louvre. I've seen the one at the Louvre. That was really cool. And it's a painting having to do with death and mortality, but also a utopian world that also has death in it, and it's also believed to depict the beginning of art, and of course that little world that the synths are on, Coppelius, is a little utopia. It's a little rural utopia, which is what Arcadia meant to people back in the hundreds of years ago. It's a little utopia. We're in a situation where we're facing death, we're facing mortality, humans' mortality, their mortality. It's one against the other. It's fight. You have to fight to survive. Soji was talking about all this is like how many lives. Is it okay to take lives in order to save lives? Things like that. The needs of many outweigh the needs of the few. Kind of reversed, flipped on its head. It's incredibly smart show, and but unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize don't realize how smart it is until you do the research. But why would you want to research? You're watching a show. Most shows you watch, you're not going to go do research about. They're shows. They're supposed to entertain us. We sit there in quarantine and we stare at the screen and we watch these shows, and hopefully we get something from it. I had to do a lot more digging. I'm getting a lot from the show, but the more I dig, the more I get from it. And I am even in Arcadia. Et in Arcadia Egotastic, you guys. Absolutely. And then, it's also believed to be, the painting was believed to be like the depicting the beginning of art. And many times the scents have been referred to as art. Just in the last episode, Dr. Jamadi said, "You are art. Look at the art. Look at the moles on your stupid synth face. That's artistic. That's great." But yeah, I love the idea of Lore being the mad scientist all along, pretending to be a human version, the human version of Noonien Soon's legacy. JP, do you think maybe Q has a stake in humanity surviving because he might feel dealing with synthetics are boring? Yeah, you would definitely think synthetics are boring. Absolutely, Steven. I think Q has a stake in humanity surviving, and this has something to do, I hope, with something big like that. Something that's so big the Q are fighting amongst each other. You know, it's even been said in Star Trek canon that Q's fighting, two Q's at war, it has been seen, has manifested itself in our reality as supernovas. What? The Romulan star went supernova? Oh, that's a strange coincidence. This might be a huge Q war. A good Q and a bad Q messing with biologicals and synths to see, you know, what damage they can do. And then maybe Q is there trying to save everybody. What's up, J-Pod? The mighty Shaba. I hate the haters. Don't hate haters, because then you're just being a hater yourself. I love that we live in an age when we can have access to such high-quality sci-fi fantasy. It's just a great time to get entertainment. It's an expensive time, mighty Shaba. Which is why it's... a lot of these shows are just too expensive. They take too many people to make, which is why it takes so long. And when you get the corporations in there, it's you're right on the razor's edge of whether it's going to be good or not. But there's a lot of great stuff out there. And there's a lot of stuff that's not so great, but it's not horrible. Somebody out there is going to like it. And here's the thing, no matter what they're making, there's going to be people that hate it, people that like it. On every single show, every single thing. Some people are like, oh, God, I hate Big Bang Theory. And other people are like, I like it. And other people are like, it's okay. I don't watch it that much, but hey, I don't hate it. Ooh, I wonder when the next season of Picard happens. I'm guessing it's like clockwork. Ooh, we have no idea what this Corona, you know what's gonna do. So as far as all shows go, what if the new fall season doesn't start until spring of next year? I wonder when the next season of Picard's. I would have said, hey, I would think that Picard season 2 would be coming at us like clockwork January 2021, just like it started here, right? Now I don't know. I can't say. I can't say anything anymore. JP, have you watched the Avenue 5 finale? I loved it. I loved it as well. I totally watched it. I wanted more. That show is very serialized. Every episode picks up exactly where we left off. But I tell you, when it comes to Avenue 5, if you haven't seen it and you like crazy sci-fi comedy, I won't even... Well, yeah, it's sci-fi. Especially the last couple episodes. There's a lot of sci-fi in there. Crazy comedy sci-fi, Avenue 5 on HBO. It's basically, I figured it out, it's a prequel to Idiocracy. It just shows how dumb people are. Which is why I love it. I've always loved shows that just show dumb people being dumb. Curtis Tate says, too many theories, not enough plot. I highly disagree. There's a lot of theories, though, because there is a lot of plot. It's being delved out differently in a serialized manner. I don't need any more plot because I can't handle anymore. All these little things I'm researching and figuring out and all the layers of the characters. And I'm so glad that this show's character driven. But yeah, absolutely loving it. But hey, different strokes for different folks. Different strokes to rule the world. Hey, we got a new subscriber. Let's see who's subscribed. Jane Pilson, thank you for subscribing. Yes, going back, yeah, there's a lot of shows, there's a lot of entertainment. You're going to get out of it what you get out of it. I don't care if people like or hate Discovery. Well, I don't care if people hate or like Discovery. I'm not a big fan of Discovery, though I'm always rooting for it, and I've always said that. I'm a huge fan of the Picard series, but I don't care if other people are. But if you are, I love talking about it. Because there's so much entertainment. If you don't like whatever's out there, there's 50,000 other things out there for you to like. As long as there's things out there that for you to like that makes you happy, that's what matters, right? Ooh, that's always something as Star Trek fans, Scott and Geolaw, that we've always kind of talked about. Like when we were first introduced to the Q continuum, that was part of the conversation. What if the Q is humanity thousands upon hundreds of thousands upon hundreds of thousands of years in the future, right? We eventually evolved to become that. And we're still there, right? Yes. Dr. Scott Giles says Avenue 5 is uneven. The last 2 episodes were really good, though. True and true. Avenue 5 is very uneven. Some episodes are absolutely... Well, all the episodes are great, but there's a lot of moments in every episode almost where you're like, huh? That's kind of weird. And then something else happens. You're like, wow, that's brilliant. And then another thing is like, I don't know. That's weird. The whole show is like that. Lone Puppy. Hi, JP. I had a feeling the admonition was from/for synths and not humans. It's a synth thing. You wouldn't understand, right? Yeah, I see it both ways. I see it as for synths for one reason and for biologicals for another reason. And it could be just that thing that some Qs do. They just want the chaos. But it does seem, though I'm leaving a little bit of a window in there, that this could be coming from the control AI, but this just seems better. This seems better, smarter, and more interesting than what the control AI was. Also, things that I've heard the writers say kind of makes me think that they're not doing any Discovery storylines at all connecting to this series, which is good in my opinion. But yeah, I'm leaving a little bit of a window open for the control AI to have something to do with this, but I just don't think it is anymore, which is great. But yeah, I think it's for synths. I don't know if it's necessarily by synths though. I think there might be someone out there messing with both sides. You should watch Aniara on Hulu. It's a Swedish film that deals with passengers stranded on a space cruise, and it's a dramatic version of Avenue 5. Well, I don't know if I want a dramatic version of Avenue 5. It sounds too serious. These people probably start eating each other. No, that sounds great, Herb. Also, another great show I just discovered, but I can't watch it because it's all subtitled, which is fine for, I couldn't watch a whole season of something subtitled, but damn, it's a high-quality show. It's called... the name is weird, but it's called Beforeigners on HBO. I think it's like a Swedish or Icelandic show. Absolutely amazing. It's like all of a sudden in our times, thousands upon thousands of people from the caveman days, the 18th century, and the Nordic age just start all the time appearing in our modern world, and they start becoming part of our world. Really cool. I watched the first episode. I was like, damn, I'd watch more, but I was like, there's just too many subtitles. Damn it. I wish I was smarter. I could watch a movie subtitled. I can't watch a whole series. But don't worry. America will steal it. Hollywood will steal it at some point because it's too good of an idea. JP, be careful of how much of the different you spell different strokes. Right, thank you very much. Theme song you sing, you'll owe the Alan Thicke estate money. All hail Alan Thicke. All hail Alan Thicke indeed, but Robin Thicke is probably still too busy paying off what's his face? Who Al, was it Al? I can't remember who it was. But the family estate sued Robin Thicke for the Blurred Lines song. Westworld Season 2 was not great. How could it be as good as the first season? In my opinion, no season of Westworld will ever be as good as that first season. The first episode of 3 was very good. I also agree with that, Scott. I thought Season 3 was great. Still not Westworld to me. This could have started off a whole new show. Season 3's first episode could have been a whole new show. But if you look at the coming up next on, it gets back into the Westworld and the World War II world and all that other stuff, and it'll all start connecting pretty soon. But on its own, it was a pretty great episode. Could have been a whole new show. Geolaw.
Shut up, Wesley.
Shut up, Wesley. No, I have not seen the Galaxy Quest documentary yet. It's beyond awesome. I know. I'm waiting for it to be free, if it's not already, but once it is. And don't forget, YouTube channel members, if you want to become a member, just click the join button down there. 2 weeks from tonight, one of you guys, just check the secret community chat for channel members only, is going to win not only this Orville badge, but this Galaxy Quest emblem patch. What? Stay tuned for that. Hi JP, does no series subtitled include anime? There are some nice sci-fi there. There is, but yes, I don't watch anime anymore. I did when I was younger though. Herb Bluntman. Oh, thank you for subscribing, Harps. Herb Bluntman says, after season 2 of Westworld, not my favorite season. Absolutely. I have no interest in watching season 3. Well, the first episode of season 3 was pretty great, but it starts off a whole new show. It's a whole new show. Pretty cool stuff, but man, I miss the West in Westworld. They even took the West out of the theme, which was a bummer to me, because I want to go back to the West in Westworld. We're going to get there, but it's not going to be the same. But the first episode was really great, though. JP, do you think that 7 of 9 gets the Borg Cube working, where it will help out fighting side by side with the ships of the Federation, since to fight the Romulans? That was my prediction last week. Now that Borg Cube is jacked up, I assume they'll be able to get it working, but can a Borg Cube actually lift off from a planet, from a planet's gravity? Now, of course, this planet is smaller than Earth, but it's denser than Earth, so the gravity seems to be about the same. I don't know if that Borg Cube is going to be heading up in the air again. I would think it would, but my prediction was last week that the cube is going to come in and help save the day. It didn't. It showed up. It showed up, and that was a badass moment. First off, we got a really great dogfight scene, finally. We haven't had any space battles hardly in the show, except for with the antique Romulan bird of prey, which was pretty cool, but this was a legit dogfight. And then boom, that Borg Cube comes out, and I'm like, oh my god! And then those orchids, those space orchids, take everything down. It gave the La Sirena a nice okay landing, but 4 or 5 of them took that cube down, and the cube didn't have as good of a landing experience. But of course, the cubes are able to regenerate, so I'm sure that Borg Cube will be fully functional. I just don't know what it's going to take for it to get off the ground, but I have no idea how the technology works. Anyone else, and anyone who claims they do, you don't. You don't. Beware the cyber robot death virus. Absolutely. New band name, I call it, Kalon. Cyber robot death virus. Check us out after this is all over at our first gig at the library. What's up, Tad Dawson? Tad Dawson, 6'8 Dawson. I would love to see Picard to nod and say, "What now? What now?" I'd like to see him say, "I've got a bad feeling about this." JP, oh yeah, we already said that. That's why they call it science fiction. Space orchids? Really? Well, that's what they're called. They're not really orchids. They're giant space things that grab onto you and pull you down. They capture you. It's like having a net. Space orchids are a bit odd, but quite effective. Yes, we got synths with a different way of thinking. So yeah, I thought the space orchids were really cool because they were technology. They weren't like magic. They're just basically old. They're nets. They open up like a Venus flytrap. Ooh, what if they're a Venus flytrap? It's a lot of things these synthetics make are based on flowers. They open up, they grab you, and they pull you down. Those space orchids remind me of the weird flower thing in the opening credits of Discovery. Yes, there is that weird flower thing in the. I can't quite remember it that well. It's been a long time since I watched an episode of Discovery, and I'm not going to be watching another episode of Discovery until season 3 starts. I've tried going back. It's just not that enjoyable. New Eden was a pretty great episode. That was the closest thing to a Star Trek episode, which was the second episode of season 2, directed by Jonathan Frakes. That's a pretty good episode, but they tried to tie in the story later on. Not as cool, but if it was a standalone episode, pretty awesome. It's the closest thing to a legit old school style Star Trek episode. Jug!
You ever see a picture of a caterpillar pupa?
Come on.
But it was the thought that counted.
But it was a thought that counted. Exactly.
Only Miles O'Brien can fix the cube. Well, I'm sure just getting it jump-started, the cube will just fix itself. But yeah, absolutely. Jug. Let's see. There was something... This episode, I can't remember exactly what it was. But this episode had direct connections to the TNG episode Data's Day. And coincidentally, Kiko O'Brien, that was her first episode that she appeared on TNG, was Data's Day. Do not mention that show's name, Black. Especially season 1, Eric, huh? I'm looking forward to Discovery season 3, but not for the same reasons that I'm looking forward to Picard episodes and the Picard season 2. But I'm, like I've always said since day one of my reviews of Discovery and since we started talking about it, I'm not happy with it, but I'm always rooting for it to get better. Thank you very much, Kalon Primary, for mentioning that. Yes, JP, when is your next Twitch day? As always, tomorrow, Friday. We are continuing this conversation. You can only stream so long on YouTube before you got to shut it down. We're going to be continuing this Picard conversation, just chatting, tomorrow on the Egotastic FunTime Twitch channel. I got the link right there at the top of the description of this video. You can click on that, follow, and we'll be there tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 1 p.m. Pacific Time, which is also 3 p.m. Middle of America Time. Well, there's also Mountain Time, but we don't talk about that. That's some other world, you guys. The Beaumont resident, JP, I want to see the entities from the encounter at Farpoint. As long as they update the effects, which they did update the effects on the entities in the remastered version of TNG, but they still weren't great. But I bet you they'd look pretty cool today. Maybe they had those babies, those two entities getting together and getting all jiggy with it, or jiggly with it in space. Maybe they had some babies. Wouldn't it be neat if they were super powerful creatures? Full circle for the show for TNG if they can do that. Ooh, man, that'd be super full circle if we went all the way back to Encounter at Farpoint. Wow. That'd be pretty cool, actually. I just don't want those creatures. Maybe they could find some other way. Maybe they could end the series at Farpoint. Is Farpoint still around? They can build starships, Lone Puppy. They could totally build starships. They built one for Jonna and Beautiful Flower to travel out into space and meet biologicals, and that didn't work out so well. So they're not really in building spaceship modes because they're in hiding on our planet mode. So let me just get some of this caulking here and just cock up that plot hole that you brought up. Boom, sealed up. Spanish time. Oh, did you guys when Narek shows up, when they first get through the transwarp conduit and Narek shows up, Rios goes, "Puta madre." I was laughing pretty hard when he did that. I've heard that phrase many a times in my life, being from where I'm from. Oh, I didn't even think about this. I'm Darkfire. I'm Darkfire just says, I think the Borg needs a Dyson sphere. It makes sense. Would be a cool visual. Yes, it would be a cool visual. But let us not forget that cube might be destroyed. Oh, that cube might be destroyed and not able to ever lift off. But there's a sphere perfectly intact right there in the middle. You can see it in this episode. You saw it in the last episode. There's a sphere right there. Perhaps Seven and the XBs just move everybody onto the sphere and take off from the sphere. What? No more Borg cube. I think we're moving on to a sphere. I did not even think about that. I'm going to put that in my review tomorrow on Darkfire, and that is dedicated to you. Prediction. This is why we have this conversation, you guys. All the inspiration that you guys provide. Kaelon says Star Trek Discovery. There, I mentioned it. And Discovery is such a great name for a Star Trek show, too. And they never discovered anything. Maybe that'll change in season 3. They'll discover a lot of stuff, but it doesn't really matter because they're so far in the future. Orchids in space! Picard series twist. The message was made by the aliens Picard and Riker blew up back in season 1. Oh my god. What if it was some villain, not Lore? Though, come on, Lore's got to have something to do with this, right? With the whole mind transferring. We need Bruce Maddox to do the mind transferring. Maybe Lore is inside of Alton soon, and he needs a new body because this one's... They said there was some dire impending consequences coming up for him. We don't know what that is. So maybe Lore's inside there and he wants to transfer over to this new synthetic, this new body that he built. We haven't seen what that new body looks like. What if when we finally see what it looks like with skin, what if it looks just like Lore? What if it's Lore, you guys? And he's like, I'm back. Ooh, the crystalline entity. Now, the crystalline entity was basically just... They're not sentient, right? The crystalline entity is just some animal out there eating up planets, isn't it? I can't remember what happened with the crystalline entity. Did we ever make contact with it? Jake Krause.
Oh my god. Oh god. My god. It's so good. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. That is so good.
Oh no, this is Alton Inigo Sung. This is what we are being led to believe was Noonan's biological son. That's the story we were told. This is not Noonien Soon, though. Noonien Soon, yes, is dead. The crystalline entity, my first memory of Star Trek. That's also Data's first memory of Star Trek. Oh, yeah, they killed the crystalline entity. Well, was there more than one? And then Picard was all pissed off about it, right? Dax? My stepbrother went on the gaming cruise. He said Will Wheaton canceled because he had an opportunity he couldn't pass up. Maybe it's to film for Picard. I don't know. I love Will Wheaton, you guys. I just don't know if I want to see him return. I don't know if I want to see him return as Wesley. What do you guys think? Do you want to see... I don't know if Will Wheaton looks Star Trek anymore. He doesn't look the way Wesley Crusher was supposed to look at this point in the timeline. Yes, the lady killed the crystalline entity after it killed her sons. What Man of San is remembering. I kind of remember that too. And then Picard got all pissed off, I think. It was a sentient being! Or it was a being, it was an animal, it deserved to live, even though it killed everyone. And she's like, oh, blah, 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 it's a murderer, we gotta get rid of it. The Beaumont resident, you know, JP actually had a dream about Data's daughter. Ooh, I do too. Restoring Data with the B4 body. I literally had that as a dream, so let's see if it happens. Yeah, we were one of our early predictions that maybe they would they'd find Data's consciousness and transfer it into B4 or something like that. I no longer think that'd be the case because they wouldn't need to do that. They would be able to build a much better body for Data if they ever restored him. A human body becomes a real boy. Oh, also Capellius, the name of the synth planet. That name comes from the old, I think, French ballet called Capilia, which is about a robot girl that's brought to life, which kind of makes sense, right? What? Yes, I totally want that Will back. Will Wheaton is still a huge dork as Wesley Crusher. It's hilariously endearing. I love Will Wheaton. I love how dorky he is. But man, I don't know if I want him just to be Will Wheaton. I don't know if I want him to be Wesley anymore. Will Wheaton is too good for Wesley Crusher, you guys. Jug!
Hey, man, I'm on your side. I always knew Isaac was a scumbag. Only had one thing on his mind, that guy. You're better off without him.
Kevin Scott says, wow, JP, you sound edumacated tonight. Well, I try. I used to try to sound dumb before, but a couple months ago I decided, you know what? I'm going to let people know that I'm actually an educated person. I've been trying to hide it for a while, but I said, you know what? Let's just get a little bit more real, a little bit more 100%, and talk about the things that I think about and read about when I'm not doing Egotastic FunTime. Star Trek, shut up, Wesley, calling it.
Shut up, Wesley.
I would love it if they brought Will Wheaton back to play Wesley just so he could show up and Picard tells him to shut up. And if he does do that, Jug called it, you guys. Wesley Crusher could be a first officer on the Enterprise E and Worf as captain. Yes, apparently Worf is the captain of the Enterprise E. Or is it the F? No, it's E, right? E becomes before F. I think we still have the E, hasn't been destroyed. What if Wesley Crusher is still just an ensign? Give him the Harry Kim treatment, you guys. Ooh, very good. Sir Patrick had better be in level 1 quarantine given the state of things. Yes, he better be in the highest form of quarantine. Also, Brent Spiner needs to be in the highest form of quarantine there is. Brent Spiner is only 7 years, like 7 years younger than Patrick Stewart. So he needs to also chill out at home, be cool, quarantine and chill. You know, that's just what needs to be done right now. Because I would love it if Brent Spiner has a lot more work to do in future episodes, in future seasons of Picard, or in the 2 seasons of Picard. The 2 upcoming seasons. We got season 2. They haven't announced season 3, but I guarantee you there's a season 3 because they said this show could go up to 3 seasons, which means it will go up to 3 seasons. I hope they don't try to stretch it for a 4th season, though. Do what they planned on doing. Tell the story they planned on telling, and don't try to stretch it out. I don't care how many subscribers they get for this one show, but they better come up with something good for future Star Trek shows, because part of the magic of the show simply has to do with the fact that Patrick Stewart and some of the old cast are in it. That really is part of some of the magic of it. It's lightning in a bottle. We're never going to have this again. I don't know if they're going to be able to recreate something that people are this excited about for future Star Trek shows, at least not for a very long time. But hopefully they'll just up their game. I think they upped their game hardcore when they hired writers for this show, for this one show. Hopefully they'll match that level with the writing and the research done with other shows, including, it might be too late for this season of Discovery, but maybe this will be the last season of Discovery as well. Maybe all CBS Trek shows will go 3 seasons and then they'll move on to something else. We'll have to wait and see. Gates is probably captain of the medical ship. Yes, Gates McFadden was the captain of a medical Starfleet vessel in the All Good Things, which takes place in this part of the timeline in the TNG universe. And the TNG universe and the Picard universe are very similar. I don't know if they're exactly the same universe. It doesn't even really matter. But yeah, in TNG, at this time in the timeline, in that alternate future, she was captain of her own medical ship. JP, they've announced season 3. Mark Bernadette said. Oh, good. I didn't even see that. I know Mark is going to be writing. Mark was a writer, wasn't he, for Deep Space Nine? He's going to be doing some writing for season 2 of Picard. Dr. Scott Giles, maybe this is weird, but Picard somehow reminds me of the 60s show, The Prisoner. The Prisoner. I think you've mentioned that show before, Dr. Scott Giles. Ulterior motive to get people watching The Prisoner. Jug.
Boom, bitch!
How about a series about a DS9 character? They'd have to pick a very good character. Also, while audiences, I think, would prefer that compared to whatever else CBS might be coming up with, I don't know. It'll be tough because if you take any character from any of these 90s Star Trek shows and do a show that revolves around them, it's tough not to say, well, they're only doing this because they did that with Picard. Picard already did it. Why are you doing it again, right? CBS needs to figure out how to really get a fresh, new, I love this Picard series. It's the only new Star Trek that I love. They really need to figure out how to crack the Star Trek nut and make a fresh, brand new show with all new characters that isn't what Discovery was. They need to figure it out because they want this thing to last, right? They want this franchise to keep growing and growing and growing. Make my monster grow! Ooh, pizza. I want pizza. Maybe these synths are actually human from replicators created by the ancients. Maybe. If they're created by replicators, does that mean they're edible? Matt Murray? Cellular peptide cake? Dan Crane?
That's what I'm talking about right there on that phone!
Yeah, as mentioned last week, I can see a spinoff with 7 of 9. Why do you think? Here's what I think. I could see a spinoff as well, but I think what they should do, and to save money, to get people to keep people excited about this Picard universe, let's get a bunch of short treks. Let's get a 7 of 9, a couple short treks, and I'm not talking about one short trek. I'm talking about a series that tells a full story, short trek style. 3 15-minute episodes. Let's do let's get Quark in there. 7 of 9 would be great. Captain Worf would be a great short trek series. If they need to think outside of the box to create this huge multi-universe that they're trying to get, like with the Marvel universe, you have all these different, Star Trek things, but they also got to save money because everything that they make costs way too much. Let's get a Captain Pike series, short trek series, that's episodic, right? Or at least one really great 3-episode, 15-minute episode adventure. So basically one really good episode and break it up into 3 little episodes, right? That would be a great experiment. They can experiment with different storylines, and the ones that the audience connects with is the one that they can then turn into a full series or a limited series. CBS, learn about limited series. They are the wave of the future for America. Other countries have been doing them forever. Limited series will let you test out ideas, and if something gets really big, then you can, sink more money into it and make it into its own show, and then people will be excited. Don't just throw any old idea out there because you haven't really proven that you can do that yet. Listen to other people. They've been doing it with the Picard series. I think they hired the right people for this first season. Fingers crossed for season 2. We don't know who's really going to be in charge of season 2 yet. Man, George Wendt he's got to be in quarantine right now. Harps. At some point, George Wendt needs to come to Quarks and sit next to mourn. Boom, Kevin Scott brings up Star Trek Continues. Also, like you got Star Trek Continues, which is a really high quality fan made thing. Star Trek's got all those limits, or CBS has all those limits on Star Trek fan films. So what CBS needs to do is either maybe hire some of these awesome high quality fan films. You got Axanar, you got Star Trek Continues, a bunch of really good ones that people like. They need to get, maybe work with some of them. Say, hey, make us some short treks. Maybe short treks can become the fan side of things. Sam says, love your idea, JP, but does Trek management know good writing? They know really good writing with this Picard series. Yeah, I said it. You don't believe me? You ain't watching the show. Or watching my reviews. I explain why it's so good. Nick Danger says, I don't think they'll ever bring back Stargate, especially after what they did to SGU. I think they will bring back Stargate, but that's not necessarily a good thing. We are at that stage in entertainment where they're only bringing stuff back because it has name recognition. They're not necessarily always living up to what the source material is, but also people's expectations have gotten insane, and they're expecting way too much. And, it's just part of, relevancy bias. It's part of who we are as humans. It's part of our evolution. We remember things giving us these feelings, and now that we're older and nothing gives us quite the feelings that old stuff earlier in our life used to get. If a show comes out and it doesn't absolutely change our lives for the better, we call it dumpster fire garbage. Sometimes it is dumpster fire garbage. Sometimes we just don't deserve it. Yes, I said it. JP, maybe the synthetics from iMud are the one orchestrating the synthetics, or maybe Harry Mudd's synthetics, his synthetic wives. Yes, Harry Mudd is the one that created these humanoid-looking synthetics, but they were just humanoid-looking. You know, they weren't necessarily advanced robots, but they were, you know, maybe they've evolved since then. Maybe Noonien Soon stole research that he found of Harry Mudd's, you guys. Noonien Soon. Noonien Soon has always had this dark side, and every Soon has always had a dark side. Eric Soon from Enterprise, he was a bad guy. Noonien Soon, he was, talk about egotistical, taking pride. He wasn't necessarily a good man, but he created an amazing, good android. But I don't think that was because he programmed him to be good. It just, you know, he didn't have emotions. Data, he got lucky. Noonien isn't super bad, but I don't think he was a great humanitarian. Alton, I'm probably going to be a bad guy. He seems like he's going to be a bad guy to me. Dr. Scott Giles says, JP should write for Trek. I'll write some ideas down and see what they do with them. I don't know if I'd write a full script. It's been a long time since I've written a full script. I can do it, though. I've done it before. Oh, Kata says they brought back Stargate, but it failed bad. It was a web series, I think. Yeah, that would do it. A web series would do it. Ah, Herb Lemon throwing down some stuff. Herb says that Mudd didn't create the synthetics. He just exploited them. Sounds like something Mudd would do. But I would absolutely love not to hear, see, or have Mudd have anything to do with this series at all. Let's not bring in anything from the. Let's keep. So far, they're keeping Discovery and Picard separate. So let's just keep it that way. Let all the shows just stand on their own. Let the name Star Trek be the thing that connects them, but let's leave the universes alone unless one universe lives up to another universe. They spent $150,000 on the entire Stargate web series. Yeah, see, that's not going to do it. That's not going to do it. I mean, that's just not going to do it these days. Even back when they did that. Soons don't die, they multiply. Yeah, Soon seems like he's almost Phillips. Soon always seemed kind of like there's a little part of him that wanted to live forever, and maybe creating these synths was kind of his way. These androids is his way of starting to get there. You know, which is why, you know, Data looks just like a very young Soon. You know, it's his way of being immortal in a way. He didn't know how to do a mind transfer, but I guarantee you, if Noonien Soon did have the technology to do a mind transfer, he would have done it. Yeah, Harry Mudd was one of the better parts, Lone Puppy, of Discovery. Like, I remember watching the first season of Discovery, I was like, blah, 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 and then they had the episode where they introduced Harry Mudd. I was like, you know, I cheered, I perked up. I was like, oh, finally, this is interesting. JP, I think they dropped the ball with not going forward with a Captain Sulu show. Oh my. I want my own show. The pilot for that was honestly really good. Takei's the best acting. It wasn't silly, it was serious. Yes, yeah, absolutely. I just don't know if it would have been a long-lasting show, and now it's just too late. Well, I mean, George is still doing some stuff. He does great stuff. Allegiance just came out on Blu-ray, you guys. You can watch the Allegiance stage show or whatever they did. He's doing better acting now than he used to back in the day for the stage. I just don't want CBS to go back to that part of the timeline with any surviving Star Trek actors. It just won't work out at this point. CBS can't do it. They blew their shot. They blew their shot. The best thing they did when it comes to Discovery is they got Discovery the hell out of that part of the timeline. They went forward. When you go forward, you can do anything you want, and nobody can complain. Sure, that they don't like the story, whatever, but they don't have any of these premeditated reasons for hating something that a lot of times they're just making up in their heads anyway. Their memories are fooling them. But you go in the forward, you can make up new canon when you go forward in the timeline. But when you're redoing stuff that we already know, like, you know, reimagining stuff and just blatantly writing totally different backstories for characters like they do with Discovery, it's always a bad idea. Always. Unless you make it a different universe. Then you can get away with some stuff. John Howard, saw you were streaming, just popping in. Haven't seen the episode yet. Keep up the Egotastic FunTimes. I'm out. Good, John. If you haven't seen, thank you for stopping by. If you haven't seen it, spoilers can come up. Hardcore spoilers can come out at any point, in the chat or out of my mouth. So thanks for stopping by and saying hello. We'll see you next time after you've seen the episode. Mr. Tommy Pickles, the Harry Mudd series would be different and fun. It'd be a good look into the Trek underworld. Yeah, that short Trek, that Harry Mudd short Trek from last season was pretty interesting. I mean, I didn't like the look of the universe because it was very Star Wars-y looking, but at the same time, it was the underworld. The underworld of Star Trek isn't utopian at all. It probably looks a little bit more like Star Trek. It looks a little bit more like the alternate Kelly timeline from the Orville. So I realized that right away, so I was like, okay, it's fine. It was Ira Graves in the episode Shitzoid Man, who took over Data's body. Thanks, IMDb. Boom, Ira Graves did that. Yeah, there was wasn't Data also, was Data taken over in Power Play? The episode Power Play where Deanna Troi was taken over by some ghost prisoners or something. Deanna Troi, maybe O'Brien, maybe Data? I can't remember. Can't remember who the third person was. Yep. You can't catch lightning in a bottle twice. Why does Hollywood keep trying to do it? Morons! They keep trying to do it because of us. That's sad but true. They do it because we buy tickets. If we stop buying tickets to remakes and reboots, they'd stop making them. So we basically have ourselves to blame. Stop giving them money. If you don't want those things, don't give them money. That's the best way to do it. Basically, it's a boycott, a reboot boycott. I will not give money, damn it. That's the only way to make anybody change to do anything. Is you got to take away their money. So you take away their money, you know, they're gonna stop trying to get our money that way. All right, James Owen, time for bedtime. What time is it for me? Going pretty good, just a little bit over an hour. I'll be ending the stream here in just a few minutes as well. Jay Botero says they could get Bad Robot to do the Mudd series and call it Harry Mudd, a Solo story. He was dressed a little bit like Solo. That was another problem I had with that. Even though that was a pretty good short trek, it was one of the better ones. Might even be, well, it was one of the better ones. I was just like, man, he's dressed just like Han Solo. I was like, damn it. But as far as story goes, it was a good story. Data, Troi, and O'Brien. Okay, I got it. Boom. Data, Troi, and O'Brien. That's who I said. Yes, Stephen Klein. Deanna Troi can sense that her doppelganger is the teacher on Orville. Maybe that teacher on Orville is her long-lost sister, Kestra. Or Kestra died, but Kestra lived on. She got transported to another universe. As we know, Star Trek is full of thousands upon thousands of infinite universes, as proven in the episode Parallels, but also proven because of the mirror universe. Did you think there was just one mirror universe? No. Well, there might be just one mirror universe, but there's all these other parallel universes as well. The mirror universe is actually ridiculous in my book, but I love mirror universe. But there's no exact opposite universe. I have a whole other theory about that. That's a whole other episode. That's a whole other stream to talk about my theories on multiple universes. And you ain't going to run into yourself in a multiple universe unless the timeline changed in that universe during your lifetime. Kevin Scott.
Boom, that's what I'm talking about.
It's true, he was just talking about that.
Trekked it or wrecked it. It's a fun YouTube channel. They review Star Trek and Orville and decide if it passed. They're also fans of JP as well. Well, awesome, Kevin Scott. Thank you. Trekked it or wrecked it. I'll have to check them out. Trekked it or wrecked it. Brian Dawkins.
Boom. Yeah, not like that, but yeah.
Right.
Do you think Dr. J owns sexy underwear? I don't know if future pants require underwear. I'm going to guess she goes commando. Oh, also a great moment. I don't know why what covers Dr. J's hoo-ha area made me think of this, but that moment when Raffi tells Picard, I love you, and Picard's like, oh, you love me? And his face is all worried. She's like, you don't have to say it back. And he's like, okay. And perfect Picard. Picard doesn't say that stuff, but as he walks by, he's like, yeah, I love you too, and he walks off. That was a great moment. That's the Picard that we remember. He doesn't show emotions like that. But, of course, under the circumstances with the relationships, but it's still in that Picard way. He let her know that he cares for her, but he didn't get all mushy about it, which was appreciated, actually. Does JP own sexy underwear? No, I don't. I prefer Sexy Time Sans underwear. Joe, what's up, Joe? Joe Lau says, okay, halfway in episode 9. I like this episode way better, but still parts a bit too fantastic. Yeah, there was... Oh, God, what was it? There was something that happened in this episode that was a little fantastic. And then I remembered like 20 times, or more than that, that something more fantastic happened in regular Star Trek. Oh, God, what moment was it? I'll have to rewatch the episode and find out what it was. That was a great Picard moment. JP, how is Picard going to correct canon? De Beaumont. I don't think that's its goal. Is that its goal? Did they say that was its goal? So far, they're sticking with the canon that we know, as well as creating new canon, which is the most important part. They're respecting the previous, but they're creating all this new stuff, which I prefer. I know all the old stuff. I've seen it over and over and over again. I love it. We've all been waiting. I mean, me personally, I've been waiting all these decades for new Star Trek canon, and we've never gotten it. They've recreated Star Trek canon in the same older universe, so I'm like, oh, that's not the canon I remember. But the Picard series is moving forward, boldly going where no Star Trek show has gone before, because we're finally moving forward. So I don't know if its goal is to correct canon, but it hasn't broken canon. Gotta treat yourself, JP. Treat yourself to 2020 in isolation. JB, do you think that Dr. Girardi's wearing a sexy thong? I didn't think about it, but I did think, is Sutra wearing a sexy thong? Ain't gonna lie. She showed up and I was like, what? And it wasn't because of the data connection. Yes, my internet is finally holding up. I've been having internet outages for the last 5 weeks or so, like sporadic. Usually always on Thursdays, though. I think they've been, I don't know, doing work or something for the last month, recreating whatever the cable company does, but it's been pissing me off. But yeah, we're doing fine right now. Still not getting the full bandwidth that I'm paying for on the download side. The upload, I've been getting, exactly what I'm paying for, but on the download, I'm barely getting a fraction. But it's, it's still 45 megabizels download. Yes, and I hear that the government or somebody is asking Netflix and other streaming services to lower their bandwidth because because everyone's at home watching TV right now because of the isolation, because of the social distancing. So they're like, you're going to break the internet if everybody's watching TV at the same time. I'm like, you knew this was going to happen. Eventually, we're all going to be a society of just people on the couch watching TV anyway. So they've been preparing for this for years. Don't worry about it, government. Brian Dawkins.
Everybody does it sometimes. I went to town on myself this morning. That's why I look so relaxed right now.
God, this whole ship is gross.
Dax says JP is going to rage on his cable company now, showing down his porn downloads. I don't download porn, Dax. It streams. You just stream it. You don't have to download that stuff anymore. May the light of Ava shine upon you, JP. Thanks to Beaumont. Brian says, our new mantra, let's party like it's $23.99. Yes, okay, this Picard series takes place in the year $23.99. I'm assuming that at some point in this series, we're going to be celebrating the new century. It's a turn of the century type episode. We're going to be going into the 24th century, or the 25th century, or the 24th century. What are we in the... We're in the 23rd century. We're going to be going into the 24th century, right? No, that doesn't sound right. If it's the 2400s, that's the 25th century. You guys do the math for me. When did this become a sex robot live stream? When was it not ever? Harps. Richards is like, oh no, I just bought a 4K TV. I know. I don't know when this self-isolation stuff, 25th, everybody's saying. That's what I thought. 25th, right? Yes, the 25th. Oh, I know what was confusing me. The Orville was confusing me. Because I'm like, the Orville takes place in the 2400s, which is the 25th century. But yes, absolutely. 25th century. They're finally catching up almost to the Orville. Star Trek Picard is about 22, 23 years behind the Orville when it comes to the way time works in a linear fashion, you guys. Kevin Scott.
We need no longer fear the banana.
Does it work on all fruit?
What about salads?
Sorry, it's called Trek It or Wreck It. Nice. Trek It or Wreck It, you guys. Check it out. Shinichi Jonathan Farkas. Jonathan Farkas. TNG is 24th century going to 25th. By the way, JP, you're awesome. Thanks, Shinichi. I appreciate that. It's all just a ruse. You're awesome, Shinichi. They're also catching up to Duck Dodgers in the 25th and a half century. Yeah, they got 50 years to go, but they're getting there. I definitely don't want the Picard series to go on that long. I want the 3 seasons they planned on and no more. No more than that. Yes, we need to switch to metric time to avoid the thinking about it. Dan Crane, is it just me? Or does there seem to be good synth twin and an evil one? That's what I predicted. That's what I said in a video, that this is good and evil. There's going to be one synth that's good and one synth that's bad. I thought it was going to be Daj and Soji, but it looks like it's going to be Soji and Sutra. Sutra is the evil lore synthetic, and Soji is going to be the good data synthetic. I predicted it forever ago, and damn it seems like I was right. 99.9% JP was right. Everyone say it. JP was right. JP was right, because I'm always working, you guys.
Working 9 to 5. She speaks with the might of 100 soldiers.
And mine's going. Star Trek time. And Dan Crane has official channel member emojis available. Dan decided to use the Yaphit emoji. It's always good to see 4 Yaphits in a row, you guys. I got a sense of the latest episode being an almost old school episodic. Kevin Nicholson. One thing that really reminded me of old school Star Trek, TNG especially, well, all the 90s Star Trek, and even original series, but of course original series was very, you know, they couldn't do all the stuff that the 90s could do. When they actually make it to Carpalia, Soji's homeworld, very much, they're walking around, everybody's wearing the little colors in their little dresses and their little flowing things, and their shirts are undone, all this stuff. Almost every planet they ever go to that has a civilized society type situation, or a town or city, everybody always looks exactly like that. Every time they show up in a town or a city on a planet, everyone is always dressed like that. Everyone's there just living their lives, having a good time. Somebody's always playing, and this time, you know, they're playing a little soccer ball type of thing. This actually reminded me exactly of almost every one of those episodes in all 90s Star Trek. It was exactly the same to me. Yes, Kata, that's what I'm saying, Kata Jawi. Sutra reminded me a lot of Lore. Yes. And she's all nicey nice. Okay. Sutra is all nicey nice and motherly or whatever. Oh, I'm one of the first. I got good advice and I got pleasant things to say. But as soon as she goes to Narek, just like Lore, she switches it and she becomes like mean. And I want to kill you. I can't wait to kill you. But I need you first. This, and that, right? She's probably the one that killed Saga, Arcadia's sister. Was her name Arcadia? I can't remember. Arcana. Was her Arcana? That's Zelda. Anyway, she's probably the one that killed that synth girl, right? Poked her right in the eye. That wasn't Narek. Narek ran off. And then, so she's the one that definitely killed that synth girl. So yeah, she switched it. She is Lore. She's Lore. Basically the same type of synth that Lore was, right? All right, everybody. A round of applause for Jay Patero. Jay says if she were mass-produced, she'd be common Sutra. Ba-don't-shh. That deserves a sound drop.
Love is the fish hook that hooks the fish.
Herb Lutman says Arcadia is a poetic-shaped space associated with bountiful natural splendor and harmony. The garden is often inhabited by shepherds. That's why the clothes. Yes, and the shepherds, well, that's what you're talking about, Arcadia. Et in Arcadia ego. Yes, Arcadia was basically a city back in the day that was thought of as more rural, utopian type of thing. In the painting, its alternate name is Arcadian Shepherds. So yes, boom, there you go, connected. Oh yes, the trees on Coppelius. Coppelius was everything in Star Trek when they land on a planet, if it's not shot on a set, is always shot in Southern California. I have no doubt this was also shot in Southern California in the foothills, and but they added all those trees and stuff and really matted some really cool backgrounds, mountains and things like that, scenery. It was really cool. It actually looked almost like it was in California. JP, don't bother committing this show to memory. Why? It's so fun. It's fun to finally. It's exciting to finally have Star Trek that me personally, with this one show, I'm excited about. Excited diving into, learning about, doing back research on. It's been a very long time. And the last time I was excited in this way, except for with the Orville was the last time with the sci-fi show I was excited in that way. But the last time before that was in the 90s. And we didn't have the ability to do all the research and stuff that we're able to do now. In the 90s, you'd watch an episode and it's like, oh, I wonder what that was about. I wonder what that was a reference to. And you just didn't know. And you never found out. Google is our friend. Kevin Nicholson's, I like the trees. I like trees. Yeah, this is real Star Trek. Well, I don't think this is old format Star Trek, but this is the type of new Star Trek that I always wanted. If they're going to do new Star Trek, this is what I wanted. Discovery was not what I wanted. Discovery should have been classic format. If you're gonna set up a show the same way as classic format, a crew on a ship out there and you call it Discovery, this and that, they should have stuck with the old format. This is different. This is a whole other thing. This is a whole different type of story and a whole different type of focus. So what they're doing in this show totally works for me. Whereas they're trying to apply this type of formula to Discovery, which shouldn't have been that type of formula at all. But yeah, I consider this real Star Trek. I don't necessarily consider this canon, old canon Star Trek, original canon Star Trek. This is a whole new canon, which is good. Start a new canon. Don't reinvent old canon. That way lies madness, and the madness comes from me, CBS, you bastards. Brian Dawkins.
Show no mercy. We fight for the glory of Avis.
Don't you think we'll get news of how Jean-Luc's current grape harvest went? Yes, at some point, Laris and Javon need to check back to let them know how the harvest went. Also, here's my question, and this goes back to TNG. I was thinking about this the other day. Okay, Picard has his vineyard. He's always had his vineyard, the family vineyard, and he's producing all this wine. Why? What's he do with these bottles? Does he go around and just pass them out to everybody? Do people buy these things? What, they don't need to buy them on Earth. It's utopian. They don't have money within the Federation. What's he doing with this wine? What's it for? How, is he making trade with it? How did they do that in TNG? The family, the Picard Chateau, Picard's brother. Why? Are they trading? What's going on? You can't buy these things. I don't get it. Tell me what's going on, Gene Roddenberry. This was your damn idea in the first place with this damn vineyard. But he can't tell me, can he? I want to talk to his son. He needs to tell me what's going on with this wine. The wine is a matter of pride. But yes, they're doing all this work, though. Like, how do people get these bottles of wine? Is anybody able to get one? Like, they just show up and say, hey, I'd like a bottle of wine. I'll take a case. And they're like, here you go. See you later. I have no idea. JP, if you could be on one space station, which would it be? Deep Space Nine or Babylon 5? Oh, good. I'd be on Deep Space Nine. Because Deep Space Nine has something that Babylon 5 will never have, never did have. Quark's Bar. I'll be hanging out at Quark's Bar. I'll be the norm of Quark's Bar. And that's all it takes. Earth doesn't have money. The Federation members do. Massive distinction. Yeah, I mean, there is currency. There's always been currency in the Star Trek universe, because they, not every place they come across is utopian, right? Or within the Federation is all. But yeah, Jug says Earth doesn't have money. The Federation members do. Massive distinction. Yes, but I assume people on Earth are drinking this wine. How do they get it? They just say, hey, they just write a letter, prepaid postage. They just put in requests and it just gets beamed right over to them. If they shut down Taco Bell, I riot. Absolutely. Now, I've been going into all the now that all the toilet paper is sold out, I've been going over to Taco Bell to use the 3 seashells. Works pretty good. The Mighty Shaba. I can't get on board with hating any form of Star Trek. It's just high quality sci-fi. I can enjoy all of it. Yes, you can. I'm not on board with hating any of form of Star Trek, or even really any show, really. But I do understand if you're not feeling a series, it's not your favorite, or you're just not your cup of tea Earl Grey hot. I'm totally down with that. I just don't get the hating on it. Being critical, totally be critical of stuff. As long as you're coming from an honest place and speaking your truth, absolutely. Be critical of whatever you want to be critical of Star Trek, of this series, of the original series. And there's some stinkers in the original series. There's stinkers in every Star Trek series. But overall, there's a lot of great, wonderful episodes as well. Deep Space Nine's not my favorite. It's not my favorite Star Trek. I don't hate it. I love it a little bit, but not as much as I love most other Star Trek series. Ashley Stephen Root.
Hobo clowns are the most dangerous because they're hungry.
Hey, JP, guys. But yes, I mean, I've been very critical of Discovery, but I've never hated it unless I was making a joke. But a lot of people don't get jokes. But a lot of people do. I've never hated it. I'm always rooting for it, but I always pointed out the only thing I hate, like absolutely can say I hate, like I use that emotion, is the new Klingons. I hate the new Klingons. I don't hate Discovery. I just wasn't very happy with it. Yay, Ashley Root, says Dr. Scott Giles. STD got great graphics and all those light flares. They look great. It's just a story and the way it was presented that threw me off. Yeah, I didn't care for the story for the most part. Actually, there's a lot of times where I was like, ooh, this would be a good story if they didn't do this or that and they did this or that instead. But there's a lot of lost opportunities. Yeah, the visuals only threw me off in the respect that that's not what that part of the timeline looks like. It's not. Lens flares, I don't mind lens flares as long as they're not overly done. The 2009 Star Trek, lens flares are cool. That's a cool cinematic effect. But there was too many of them in 2009 Star Trek, and even JJ said, man, I used way too many. I don't know why I did that. But some people nowadays are like, they see one lens flare in a Star Trek show, and I've seen lens flares in Enterprise show up just because the light hits the camera in a certain way and you see a lens flare. People are like, this show is a dumpster fire. I'm like, calm down. Go with the story. Don't look at a civilian shuttle in the background and say, oh, that reminds me of Discovery. This is a dumpster fire. Now you're being over dramatic, and you're hurting yourself. Don't watch the show if it's going to hurt you that bad. Come back a couple years later when you're ready for it. Maybe you're not ready for it now. Maybe you'll never be ready for it. Maybe it's not your cup of tea, and that's fine too. You don't have to like everything. You don't have to hate everything either, unless you're looking for views. Oh man, Larry Peterson, Kindred Spirits. Larry Peterson says Quark's bar at the Star Trek Experience in Vegas was great. Yes, it's gone now. It was at the Las Vegas Hilton, which I used to call the Star Trek Hilton. It was the Las Vegas Hilton, a little bit off the strip. Quark's bar, the entire Star Trek Experience was amazing. Lightning in a bottle, but that lightning eventually fizzed out. Not because the experience wasn't great anymore, just people didn't care anymore. And but man, remember the steak Picard? Everything on the menu was Star Trek themed. So they had steak Picard. They had onion rings of oh god, what was it? They had a Troy drink, not drink, but they had a Troy dish. Maybe that was the onion rings. They had the Warp Core Breach alcoholic beverage. This big green thing came in a giant bowl, and it was for 4 people, but you know, I'll split it with 2 people. And it had dry ice in it, and they had this other one. I can't remember what it's called, but it was purple. I love lens flares. It's what blinded me to the last few Star Wars films. Yeah, you got blinded by it. Yeah, I like lens flares, but they have to be used subtly, or not subtly, but just, you know, infrequently. Otherwise, you know, it's just too much. You know, like when you go to a movie and it says nudity, and you're like, yes, nudity. It's nothing but wieners flying around. One wiener, sure, but you don't need 5 or 6 wieners just running around all the damn place, running amok. That's why we can't go to theaters anymore. Social distancing from all them wieners they were showing in our faces. Ashley Stephen Root.
Okay, I quit right now. I cannot work here anymore.
JP doesn't like DS9T. Oh no. I like DS9 the show. I like the series. It's just not my favorite Star Trek series. Starweaver. Hey JP, what's up? Can I ask you a question? I wrote a book in 2012. I was wondering if you could critique it for me at some point. Oh man, if you wrote a book, I doubt I would read it. Starweaver. You know I don't like reading. You can send it. I'll look at the cover, I'll read the back, and I'll flip through. But I'm pretty sure I won't be able to. I'm pretty sure I won't get around to reading it. Sorry, but it's just true. I just know who I am. I know my life. I know what I'm about. Ooh, Jason Houston says, my mom got to go opening day to Star Trek The Experience. That experience was so good. It's all TNG, right? You go in there, you're walking through the hallways of the Enterprise D. You're on the bridge. There's the view screen, and all of a sudden Picard shows up on the view screen. He's got a mission for you. One of you is somebody's ancestor. I can't remember whose ancestor. Was it his ancestor? I can't remember. But it was amazing. Too many wieners on Westworld. Yeah, Westworld does have a lot of wieners. I believe this season there was 1 wiener in it, I think. I can't remember. I try not to think about wieners, not even my own. JP, Jay Patero says, JP, where is that theater? I'm asking for a friend. I can't remember if I went. I don't know if I went on the Borg 4D experience. I can't remember. I know it was always there. I don't think I ever could afford to go on both rides, so I always went on the regular experience. I might have done the 4D experience, but I really can't remember if I did or not. Which probably means I didn't. Ashley Stephen Root, third time's the charm.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. Yeah, you look like the guy who's on the list because you know the DJ.
Nick Danger 420. Hey JP, my girl wants to know if you're married. Hint, hint. Think she's interested. LOL. I'm not married. I doubt I ever get married. I'm not a marriage dude. I just got a lot of love to, you know, to give out. It'd suck to limit that, you know. Dr. Scott says, I don't mind the Westworld wieners for some reason. The girl wieners are the best, though. Yes, it is. We don't get a lot of those anymore. I would prefer it if we just had no wieners at all. Let's just not have girl wieners or boy wieners. Let's just cut them out. Well, that sounded bad. Don't cut off anything. If you're watching at home, which of course you are, because how else are you going to watch me unless you got access, you know, to my webcam when I'm not streaming. Let's just no boy wieners, no girl wieners. Let's just keep it fair and even. Starweaver, okay, thank you, JP. It's a sci-fi book, and I'll send you a copy soon. All right, sounds good, Starweaver. I'll give it a flip. I'll give it a flip through. The Beaumont resident, wouldn't it be fair to all the ladies out there if JP didn't share that love? That's right. Larry Peterson says, don't get married. They change on you. And that goes for everybody out there. Don't marry anybody, boy or girl, because they change on you. And we change on them, too. We all change. If we're doing things right, we change as we get older. So don't marry anybody, because if they're doing things right, they're going to change on you. And that means they're living right. What's the point of all this if we're not going to change and evolve? I'm Darkfire. Thank God that isn't just me. 40 and unmarried is mainstream now. Yay, that's right. I'm a trendsetter. Never been married. Many long-term relationships under my belt. But never got married, never had kids. Thomas says, hey JP, will Beverly and or Wesley make it onto Star Trek Picard? What about the Q? Beverly, I believe, is not in this season at all. Wesley, probably not in this season. It'd be kind of weird to see him on the show and then have him host the Ready Room. And like I said, I love Will Wheaton. Now that I'm older, I love Wesley, but also...
Shut up, Wesley.
And I just don't know if I want the Will Wheaton that I know now, the Star Trek nerd, sci-fi nerd, to be on this sci-fi show. I don't think I'd be able to see him as anything but Will Wheaton anymore. Beverly is not supposed to be in this season. She might show up next season along. I know for a fact Guinan is going to be in next season, as well as I'm sure a lot of other cameos are going to be popping up throughout the next season. There's a second part. What about the Q? I think Q has already turned up, and I think he will turn up at this point. Maybe as a dream. Maybe they're saving that for this finale episode. There's a rumor that Q, that they did a photo shoot with Q, someone playing Q. It might just be a dream sequence, but I think Q might have already made a little appearance as Captain Crandall in episode 7, Nepenthe. I think Captain Crandall is Q. Ashley Stephen Root says, happily married, no kids, 10 cats. Do you want another cat? I got a cat that's looking to get out of this apartment any way she can. She's like, I want to go outside. I say no. I don't think Will Wheaton should play Riker. Yeah, they do a flashback, and it's Will Wheaton as Riker. Yep, Captain Crandall. I think Captain Crandall is Q. Not just any Q, the Q that we know. Keeping an eye on Riker, which the Q Continuum has done. Also, just waiting for Picard to show up because they knew Picard was going to show up, so that he can help push him along his way to Soji's homeworld. Thanks, Starweaver. All right, you guys, what time are we dealing with here? 8:45. It is time to end this stream. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. Don't forget, tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time, We are going to be continuing this conversation, hanging out, chill. I'll be sitting down. We'll be listening to awesome music in the background, chatting about not only sci-fi and whatever we want to chat about, but very specifically continuing this conversation about Picard, because I'll be learning more stuff over the days. That's why I take a couple days to get my review out, so that I can keep doing research, finding more stuff out to link to, and not only with the story, but stuff that that came before it. Hopefully, put out reviews that are a little bit different than other reviews out there, where people are just like, oh, then this happened and I thought that was cool. Try to get a little bit more psychological with it, so it takes me a couple days, but we're going to be continuing this conversation tomorrow on the Egotastic FunTime Twitch channel, which is right down below. There's a link right there. You can click on that, follow. Twitch is free, and we can stream for hours and hours and hours, and we do. And we have great conversations, and it's a little bit more laid back, you guys. And if we're going to end this stream, we're going to end it right. So, you got to press the right button. Okay, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about tonight, and I talked about it. You talked about it. We talked about it. Did you watch? Of course you watched the latest episode of Star Trek Picard in Arcadia, Egotastic FunTime. What did you think about it? I want to hear your theories. Now, of course, this live stream is going to be taken down as soon as we're done here, and I'm going to take it down and I'm going to put it up on the alternate Egotastic FunTime live channel, so people can relive this, and people that missed the live show can catch up on all the things that we talked about over on the alternate channel. It's just not good to put it on the main channel. YouTube doesn't like that. And if you want to help support Egotastic FunTime, help me keep the lights on, there's all those links down there below. PayPal, tip jar, Patreon, Orville, cool Orville stuff to check out, t-shirts, all that stuff. All of it helps, and I appreciate it. You can also join the channel by clicking that join button. It's right there. YouTube puts it there. I'll see you very soon, and as always, I hope all your times are Egotastic fun times. Love you. Bye-bye.
Egotastic fun time. We're gonna have a great time. Egotastic fun time. Give me all your money. Give me all your money. You will find me funny. Just give me money. I love money. Give me all your 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 money.
Shut up, Wesley.